Hello everyone, this is Jake from CINECALIBER. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the 5th episode of the new Disney Plus TV series for Star Wars, The Acolyte. Now, this is my 4th review on this TV show, and there will be links below in the description of this video to show the first 4 episodes if you guys want to check those links out. And without further ado, we're going to kind of just recap of some of the things that happened in the last episode that were relevant for this episode. So really, in the last episode, the Jedi had arrived at a planet called Kofor to basically go after Jedi Master Kalnaka because one of the main characters, May, who is an apprentice of the Sith, is coming to basically kill him. And basically, as they travel through the jungle, they actually come upon the Sith that has been training May. And that's pretty much like the main recap of last episode. And now we're going to go into what was a hit, the good of this episode. So guys, as always, this show has a really great costume design. I mean, the $180 million you can budget has really made it such a spectacle to witness. The Jedi look on point. The starships look on point. Planets have been a little questionable, a little lifeless, but all in all, like it feels like a Star Wars franchise for the most part. And really, this episode is one that fully reveals the Sith finally. And I gotta say, there was some really great action sequences throughout. Some really great lightsaber duels. Probably some of the best I've seen since the prequel trilogies. The choreography of these scenes were just outstanding. And there's even moments when they're not even using lightsabers and they're just using general hand-to-hand combat. And man, it gives off such a great, the style I would say is kind of like the Matrix, which I love that style. I like that they're incorporating it here. It kind of flows with the whole Force and everything, in my honest opinion. And really, guys, too, the other thing I really liked was just the performance of Lee Jung-jae. I kind of highlight this in every video I've done for this series, but his performance as Jedi Master Saul has been impeccable. You can really see in this episode, and you can also feel the emotion he gives off in the episode. And because basically something happens and his Jedi brothers are basically slain by the Sith, and he does such a great job keeping his darker tendencies in check, even though he's attempted so many times to be just as bad as the Sith, or stoop to their level, so to speak. But that was everything for me that was like a true hit in this. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad. This episode really wasn't the saving grace I was hoping it was going to be. Let me just say, so what was amiss? The bad. I have to say, I just feel like there's no coming back for this show after this episode. I just don't see it improving, and there's multiple reasons for that. For one, I am a huge fan of the Legends lore. I read so many Legends books growing up, so when I watch this show and I see that it's contradicting that lore, it really bothers me. And honestly, if you are watching this and you don't know any Legends lore, you probably will like this show very well. But unfortunately, being that I have read so much Legends through my childhood, it's hard for me to justify the direction that this show is going in. And I'm going to go into that here. So with all that said and done, I mean, the writing of the show, it for one, it completely botches who the Sith are when they actually do reveal the Sith. So, I don't know, the writers, I can't even give them the benefit of the doubt that they're just kind of not even using lore from the Legends, franchise. I can't say that they're just going and doing their own thing. They're ignoring Legends lore, which really, that would be their saving grace here. But unfortunately, that is not the case. They seem to be incorporating elements from Legends, but not all of it, or not the real important parts of it, which to me is very confusing and just makes it very inconsistent. And for example, there's during the fight scene with the Sith, I noticed that on his armor and also his helmet, when the lightsaber hits his armor, it kind of reflects it back, and then it also kind of deactivates the lightsaber. So guys, this material is actually shown in Legends. It's a metal called cortosis, and the fact that they use that is awesome. I actually really like that. It got me really pumped. I was like, oh my god, they actually are looking at Legends lore, and they're actually taking some aspects of it. But then when they actually reveal the Sith and who they are, I just lost all hope. The way they handle the Sith character in here, it makes me so infuriated. So when the Sith finally reveals himself to the Jedi, or to Jedi Master Soul, so to speak, he blatantly just tells him, "Hey, I'm a Sith." I mean, which completely just contradicts the whole rule of two established in the Darth Bane trilogy, for those who know that trilogy. And so slight spoilers, but the Sith is revealed to be Qmir, who's been a sub character throughout. And I'm telling you, this just goes against anything that the Sith stands for. I mean, he's there to basically wipe out anyone for knowing his existence. But really, if he would have just never showed up to begin with, he wouldn't have to wipe anyone out to kind of wipe out his existence or knowledge of his existence. It doesn't really make much sense. Sith they're not known to just come out and just attack. They're known to be hidden in the shadows. They're senators. They're secret forms of authority that find power secretly before they finally make their move. Just like Emperor Palpatine. He is a perfect example of this. He always just kind of waited for his right moment to strike. And even when he did strike, people still didn't know he was a Sith. They thought he was just this emperor. And it's how can you go and think that just from 100 years prior the Sith were so different? Because they're not. It's just a blatant they just don't care, and it's really infuriating. And then and besides just the handling of the Sith, there's just other questionable character choices that just doesn't sit right with me. For one, as much as I love Jedi Master Soul, the performance of him is great, but towards the end, right, May kind of impersonates Asha, and you would think that he would kind of pick up on that. I mean, May has been studying the dark side of the Force for at least 10 years now, and you're just telling me he can't detect that? But when the Sith kind of revealed himself at the end of episode 4, he was able to oh wait, there's someone here? That makes no sense to me. How can you detect that but not May, who really isn't as powerful? I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then really May herself, I mean, she just kind of forgot her vendetta the last episode towards the Jedi. But now she's flipping back to be bad again. So make up your mind. Is she good? Is she bad? And if she is, justify it. Don't just throw it in there. There's no progression, nothing convincing. And then another character, too, that I was actually really starting to enjoy was Jedi Yord. I mean, so he was portrayed as this by-the-book Jedi. And, in this episode, he completely just goes against that just to, I guess save his friends. So I guess you could say that's justifiable, but at the same time, it just gets him killed. And I feel like the choice of him just kind of flipping just doesn't feel very justified. And that really goes into, too, they just killed him off. Just like every other character, it seems like they're just killing off. They have literally killed off every main character after this episode. There's really hardly anyone left of the main cast. And it's just really frustrating, because it's how are we supposed to really invest in these characters if you don't give them the chance to really shine on screen and to develop into these great characters? It's just, like I said, ever since General Snoke, they just don't seem to learn, and they just think by just blatant killing, people don't want to learn more about these characters, and they just use them for typical plot points. And it's also, they're using him to build the Sith up, but the Sith isn't really being built up very well to begin with. So, I don't know. It's just really, really aggravating, the direction that this show is going. And then, too, I gotta say, I mean, this episode, once it focuses or refocuses on May and Asha, and it's not about the Sith or the Jedi, I lose complete interest. I have no interest in these characters. They don't build them up very well. They just don't do anything to be justifiable, to be good. They're just not convincing. The acting is off with them, and they're just not written very well. I could do without them and just have Jedi Master Soul be the main character, honestly. And I don't know, here we are, we're 5 episodes into this show, and there's been very little story progression. The first 2 episodes were just the Jedi chasing May. The third shows a flashback of events that were already talked about in the first 2 episodes, shows nothing new. Then the 4th episode is just them running around the woods looking for Jedi Master Kelnaka, who just gets killed off, just like everyone else, just to reveal the Sith. And then this episode is just nothing but blatant action, and at the end of it feels like there really has no story has been progressed in any shape or form. It's like 3 episodes left, and here we are, and there's nothing to really show for it. It's like, what the hell? And really, I mean, that was everything for me, guys. That was a miss. I'm gonna kind of go into a conclusion just to wrap this all up, and I just gotta say, I mean, despite this episode's best efforts to give us an action-packed episode and to reveal the Sith, this show continues to miss its mark. Its blatant ignorance of Legends lore, which they use in some areas but not main areas, is frustrating. The lack of characterization is squandered by just the blatant killing of the characters, and the direction of the story just hasn't progressed because they decided to use an action for the sake of action decision in this episode. We have literally moved forward one step, and that's in 4 episodes, and that was just to reveal the Sith. Everything else has just been nonsense. So, with all that said, I have to give this episode just a current rating of a 2 out of 5. It has not changed. It has not gotten any better. And I have to say, I don't see it getting much better. I can see it getting much worse. But we will talk about that as the next episode releases. This is Jake.